Should we start that in the standard YouTube way? Hi guys, today I'm going to show you something. Too late now. All right, so what I am going to show you all today is just sort of a step, an approach to painting that I like to go about when it comes to oil paint and acrylic paint. You don't have to do it this way. It's just what I've discovered that works, so I thought I'd share it with you. So, as you see, we have the old persimmon and can of peas painting from before, and then just for fun, I started an octopus with a lady in a bamboo forest, just cause. All right, so once I've gotten the local color down, right, and local color means kind of that generally that color that you want, then the next step I go to is putting in, like, finding the places that are going to be the darkest, right? Now, I rarely use black, but I wanted to try it out today to see how it works. So, we're going to do a nice grand experiment. Where's the name of the color? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to try black. And I usually first put in the dark areas and then put in the light areas. And then you remember when we made that tone chart from the drawing unit, right? We had white on one side and black on the other. Is that a yes? Yes. Right? So then what I'm doing is I'm going to put in the darkest, and then I'm going to go and put in areas in the lightest, and I'm kind of going to sort of work towards the middle, back and forth as I work on the painting. But I'm just going to show you the two ends today. So I'm going to take some of my gel medium, and I'm going to take a lot of gel medium for the dark. I'm not interested in having like a really thick, heavy dark. I want it to be translucent. And then I'm going to take a little bit of black, put it off to the side. That's the way I like to mix it. Again, you can discover your own way for mixing paint. Cover up the black. And I probably should have thought more about where the dark and light is going to go, but I'm just going to be intuitive about it today. All right, so just a tiny bit of black in lots of gel medium. And then I'm going to find the areas with a nice small brush. Find the areas that I want to be black. Kind of a so-so brush. And I'm going to work, and as I work, I'm going to kind of adjust the level of color, because when I first put down a bit of paint there, or a bit of it looks sort of grayish to me. And I'm going to go throughout the whole painting and just find areas that I think are going to be the darkest shadows. This is a pretty yucky brush. So I do the side of the can, in my persimmon here, where you know how persimmons have that, like, they're kind of like, I don't know, they have the dip on the inside. So I'm going to go in there. Wow, I really got a terrible brush. Maybe up near the stem. I don't know. Right now, what I'm doing is playing in my head every time I've looked at a persimmon or eaten a persimmon or thought about a persimmon, and trying to imagine different areas, see it in my mind's eye where I've noticed shadow before. I guess it makes me a little strange, because whenever I have a piece of fruit or something that I think is going to be visually interesting, I tend to look at it too much. All right, and I'm going to think about the background as well as the foreground. So I never really defined if this is a table. But this doesn't really matter. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity now to kind of fill in, like I think probably a lot of you have noticed from the canvas paper, that like it's kind of rough, right? So you get a lot of these, unless you really like pile on the paint, you get a lot of these sort of white spots. So I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity to kind of fill those in, especially when the paint's nice and thin. Notice I'm using a lot of water. Something to think about when you're adding like dark areas, right? The dark areas, the shadow areas, right, in any painting serve as an area for our eyes to rest. Like if there's a lot going on in the painting and there's lots of colors and lots of places to look, then we tend to be a little overwhelmed by it. So as you're planning out, or even as you're painting, you don't really have to plan it, you can just kind of work on it. But consider that you need some places for the viewer's eyes to just kind of chill out, just kind of have a little rest so that they can move on to another part. And consider the concept of rhythm, all right? Rhythm in visual arts means the kind of the cadence or the speed that your eye moves through a work of art. And the way it does that is it finds something to hold on to, and then it moves to the next spot, and then it moves to the next spot. If things are evenly spaced apart, right, the things that the eye looks at, if they're evenly spaced apart, then the speed tends to be regular, very like comforting, very, I can't think of the word, a good word in English, very pouton. If you want it, and if you want that effect, by all means, you go for that effect. However, if you want it to be a little bit more erratic, if you want it to be a little bit more quick or exciting or dynamic, then the goal is to have like larger spaces and vary the size at which your eyes like kind of latch onto it. I'm sort of doing the opposite of manipulating the parts that the rhythm, or the part that your eye looks at. What I'm doing is I'm using these, this black and this gray area to give the place eyes to rest. So then what's happening is we've got these orange and this bright blue and this orange that are kind of moving back and forth, and it stops looking at this green over here and this green over there. These are kind of places that your eyes rest. I'll probably put in a little bit more here too, so that way it kind of focuses the eye on these three parts. All right, well, I'm going to keep working on this, but before I do, I want to show you, I don't want you to sit here and watch me paint the whole time. I want to show you putting in some of the highlights. Do you have white over there? There he is. All right, so I haven't found this to be true, although it makes a lot of sense. I read that once you put in the highlights, you rarely have to go back in and fix them. I don't know if I agree with that entirely, but I do kind of agree with it, in that with the highlights, I tend to overdo it with the white, and then as I go back into it, I cover some of that white up and just sort of select the parts of the white that I like. So I'm going to use less gel medium this time around than I did with the black, because I want the white to be a little stronger. I might mix it up with the palette knife this time. All right, and I'm, in my mind's eye, I'm imagining where the light's coming from, coming down this side. And so I'm going to just start to set in. I'm going to sort of define, the edge of the jar here. Bless you. if you remember from our drawing, like the brightest spot is rarely like right on the edge. It's kind of always a little back from the edge. So I'm not going to even pay attention to the label or the edge of the can. I'm just going to add a little bit of paint in there. Maybe suggest where that light is reflecting. It's the same thing with our round object, our persimmon. The lightest edge is usually not right on the edge between the foreground and the background. Kind of a little bit away from it. That's the area that's reflecting to us. And what I'll do next, and I'm not going to show you this today, but what I'll do next is then go back in with like the orange on this persimmon here. Go back in with the orange and maybe cover up just a little bit of that white until I feel like it kind of looks a little bit more natural. Did anybody figure out what a persimmon means? Did anybody do any like research? It means see-through. Oh. All right, well, that's it for today. I'll post this video on the DX in case you want to revisit it, or in case you just like listening to my voice. All right. For today, your goals are to paint, or work on your creative hunt, or both. Okay? All right, have a blast. Oh, does anybody want to say goodbye to the video? Bye-bye, guys. Wow, you all such good sports. Thanks heaps. Yes.